So everywhere I go, people ask me, how did I make Alexa say those funny things about the weather? And can they make their Alexa say funny things? The short answer is no, they probably can't. But I thought I'd shoot a quick video, walk you through all the steps. You can decide for yourself if it's too complicated. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. I'm going to skip the first step, which is installing and configuring Python. If you don't know how to do that, then you probably have no business running this script in the first place. Now I use Python just because I know Python. There is a Flask project or library that is already wrapped around the Alexa Ask API. So then you don't have to dive into creating REST calls. They just have a bunch of helpers, which work really well for just throwing something together quickly. The whole video originally that I shot, it was like less than 10 minutes from start to finish, creating the skill, deploying it. I just deployed off the local machine and then shooting the video. And I didn't even edit the video. I just kicked it out there to humor my friends. And then it kind of went out of control and spiraled from there. So this start skill is going to be called automatically. This is the first thing that gets called when whatever your trigger statement is. And in my case, I only wanted Alexa to say one thing and then exit. I didn't have any follow-ups or anything. And this is what I wanted her to say. Now this first part you may recognize because if you ask her what the temperature is or some variation on that, this is literally what she'll say. And on that day, this is what she said. And then this is where I started to pick up and do my own thing. This is where I said, wait, and then go on and on about the temperature and the location and put me in the box, send me to Florida. So this is just a single statement. It doesn't leave things open. So I'm just going to return this as a statement. You could also do a question, in which case she'll wait for a response. And then when you say that response, that'll then trigger the next part. So that's all there is to it for the code. Like I said, very simple. I shared this with a few other people and they were shocked at how easy it was. But this is the easy part. The hard part is actually creating the skill, getting it deployed, and then actually having Alexa say this on command. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to run this code, and we can just see that it's actually going to compile and run. So you need to bring up your command line. Now I'm doing this on Windows. I cannot possibly condone doing this on Windows, but it just happens to be the machine that I've got right here. I did actually run all this originally on Linux, but it's easier to record here, so I just went ahead and replicated it here on Windows. So I'm going to just run my Python and my file, which I've got called messing with Alexa. And all this is going to do is just start up, and it's going to be listening for a web request to come in on the local machine at port 5000. Okay, so now that that's running, we'll just go ahead and test that out real quick, and you'll see because this is running through Flask, what we're expecting to get back is just this main route, which is the local host. So we'll just bring up our browser, we'll go to this port, you can see it listed right there. I'll just refresh that, and you'll see it says, is it cold outside? Because we just asked for the default route. And you can also see that this request actually came through, and you can see that it responded correctly. Okay, so the default way that Amazon wants you to deploy your Alexa skills is through a platform called Lambda, which isn't hard to use, but I'm not going to bother with that today. Plus, we're just trying to humor ourselves. So I'm going to actually deploy this locally. Now, the only way that works is through a program called, it's called ngrok. And what it does is it allows you to expose a local running port out through the internet and give you a public address coming back in. And the second part that it needs is Alexa only works through SSL. So we need to actually have an SSL start. So you can download ngrok. It's free. It's just a little tool. Works really well. So what this command window is doing is it's going to say ngrok HTTP because we're opening an HTTP session, and then my port number, which is 5000, which is the same one that my Python is running on. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to run that. Now what this is going to say is it's online, and you can see that it's got a local port, and then it's got two forwarding ports, a non-HTTP and an HTTP and an HTTPS. So now this service is publicly available through the internet through HTTPS. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this. Let me make a quick copy of this address here, and we want the HTTP one. We'll throw that into our browser. And that should make the full round trip, but this is now coming in from the public side. So you can see we got a hit right here, and then you can see that it actually made the request all the way back into my Python. So this came out from the web back through our firewall and everything here right into my Python. So this is how it actually is going to work, because obviously Alexa needs to be able to get it off my local machine. Now you'll notice that it did the fave icon here. Don't worry about that. That's just because my browser actually pulled that. Now there is no fave icon. Now we're going to go ahead and create our skill. So go to the developer.amazon.com. For some reason it's not part of AWS. We're going to go ahead and use the Alexa tab. So click Alexa. You're going to see two options. The first option is the skills kit. That's the one we're going to use. The other is if you're going to deploy your own Alexa-like voice service, but obviously we're not going to do that. We're just going to expand on the existing skills. So click the Getting Started. You'll see I've got a couple others here that I was screwing around with for different types, but don't worry about that. Yours will be blank. Let's go ahead and create a new skill. On the new skills page, you'll see there's all these check marks, and as we go down the list, these are going to turn green, assuming we have everything correct. Now I'm going to kind of go through this without a lot of explaining, because I'm assuming by now I've lost most people. But we're going to actually create a custom skill. This is going to be the name of it, so I'm literally just going to call this Messing with Alexa. This will show up in various places. This invocation name is what Alexa is going to trigger on. So this can be whatever you want, but it's important that this is what you're going to say in order to get Alexa to listen to you. So I'm going to say, is it cold outside? Now over here on the right, it gives you instructions, and you can see I'm a little bit off because it says use 3 words or less, but it's fine. It's just because I've got is it cold, it's very, very quick. Then we're going to go ahead and click next. But again, this is the most important piece. This is what's going to trigger your Alexa. The next thing we need to do is we need to create something that's called the intent schema. And ours actually is not going to use any intents, but Alexa won't let me go forward without creating some. So this is what trigger words there are as part of your skill. So if you've used Alexa much, you know, she'll ask you questions and you'll have to say, you know, tell me more about that, or yes, or no, or done, or exit. Well, these are those intents, and they're broken into 2 segments. The first is the schema, which is a rules. It's defining what the intents are. And then the second is the utterance. So the intent here, I'm going to put one in, but we're not actually going to use it. And this is called the done intent. So this would be, you know, hey, I'm done. Exit, quit, stop, whatever you want to do to exit your skill. Now our skill only has 1 statement, so it'll actually exit immediately. The second section is called the utterance, and this is what trigger words there are for each of those intents. Now again, since I'm not doing anything, it doesn't actually matter. I have a couple here from a different project, so I'm going to say done intent, and I'm just listing literally the words that the user would say to call this intent. So the important part is this must match this, or it's not going to work. Now this does support multiple languages, so if you wanted to do multiple utterances and intent schemas in multiple languages, go right ahead. So we'll go ahead and click next. Now you'll see that once we click next, it's going to be kind of spinning and running, and this is now processing what our intents on the server. Eventually, hopefully this will turn green, assuming we didn't screw something up. Now it gets into the extremely technical part where if I haven't lost you already, probably going to lose you now. So this is going to say how is your endpoint defined, and this is our server. Like I mentioned earlier, you can use Lambda. That's the preferred method, but a little bit more complicated, especially for a test like this. The second is you can create your own HTTPS server or leverage one that you already have. That's what I'm going to use right now. We've got the ngrok going anyway. Then it's just asking for a geographic that's closest to us, so we'll say North America. Now I'm literally going to paste in this value right here. So I'm going to copy it again. Make sure you use the HTTPS because it will not work with just straight HTTP. So we're going to paste that in. We're going to make sure we don't have any spaces at the beginning or anything. And then link account, no. So let's go ahead and click next. And now it's going to actually come back and it's going to verify that worked fine, and it's going to ask us about the fields. Again, not going to dive deep into what it means to have a subdomain SSH server, but we do. So click the middle option. Now we're at a spot where we can test our skill. This is a way that Alexa allows you to come in and actually essentially simulate what it is that we're saying, so we can test it to make sure it works. And then we can get those responses back so we can see what she says. I'm not going to bother testing this, so we'll skip next. And now we're on the publishing information. And there's a few things in here that are just mandatory, even though we're only going to deploy this to ourselves, so it doesn't actually matter what we say. And then this is going to be instructions. I'm just going to say test. And then down here, description, I'm just going to say messing with Alexa. I'm going to copy that because I'm going to paste it here. And then right here is where we'll say these are examples. These don't actually work. These are just what shows up in the app. So I'm just going to say again, and you'll notice it gives you instructions here on the right. So it wants you to say Alexa, and then is it cold outside? And then you can put others in as well. These are just instructions for the end user so that they know what they're doing. And then down here you've got some keywords and some images. We're going to leave those blank because we just simply don't care. So we're going to click next. And now this is going to ask around the privacy, so we're just going to say no on all these. We're going to check the box. This says yeah, sure, why not? And now we can save it. Now notice that this button is not active yet. The reason for that is we skipped a few things, and you'll see on the publishing information, since I didn't put images in and so forth, it won't actually let me certify, which is fine because we do not want to click that button anyway because we're just messing around. So we'll click save. Now that should come back green, so now we're good. Now that we have everything deployed on Amazon, the last step is to actually enable that skill on our device. Now this is actually a little bit tricky. It took me forever to figure this out the first time. The trick is you need to actually go into your Alexa, and this is done within your phone app, or you can do it on the website. If you just go to alexa.amazon.com, it actually is your phone app. But this is just quicker since I've got it up. So if we click on skills, you'll see on the top right hand corner there's this secret link that says your skills. If you click that, it will show you all of your skills that you have enabled, but it also shows you all of the development skills that you've written. And so what you'll see is down here, depending on what you called it, I don't know what order these are in. They seem to be purely random. But you'll see this one that says Dev US. And you'll see I have a few others that are labeled Dev US. And these are ones that you've deployed within this platform right here. So what you need to do is you need to click on it, and it may or may not be enabled. When I was originally doing this, they were not being enabled. When I just went through this here, it is enabled. So I'm not exactly sure if they've changed something, but if it's not working, come in here, make sure you enable that skill. Then once you've enabled the skill, you can actually test it on your Alexa device. Now we have our skill all deployed and everything's ready to test out. So let me go ahead and unmute Alexa so she wasn't freaking out while I was mentioning her name. Now I'm just going to ask, and I'm going to bring this window up, and we should see the request actually come in here. Alexa, is it cold outside?
In Sioux Falls, there is a wind chill warning in effect until noon on Sunday. The current weather is minus 29 degrees with intermittent clouds. Wait, what the f? Are you serious? Is this minus 29 degrees? Where the hell is Sioux Falls? Screw this. Put me back in the box and send me to Florida. You are insane.
So you saw that actually made it the full round trip. You might have even noticed down here the ngrok had a request of a request in that it forwarded. Now you'll see our response right here is that same string, and then you could hear that Alexa was actually reading this out, and she'll read it exactly as it was typed in. And because this was a statement instead of a question, she actually ends right there and returns back to her normal state of just listening. So that's all there is to it. If you can get through all those steps and you didn't screw anything up and you knew how to install and deploy Python and set up all of the different rules within the skills, you can make Alexa say whatever you want as well. So that's all. Thanks. Bye.